indeed, family. Yes, indeed, family. We are live inside of Lobtown. Auburn ekes out another victory, 53-51, an absolute, what they call it, rock fight with Tennessee tonight. The narrow escape for the victory. Valiant effort by Janai Broom tonight, but an awesome game. Y'all get in here. Let's talk about this game. Share the live with somebody out there. Make sure you add us at the War Rapport. Oh my goodness. This is not help. This is unhealthy. This is legitimately unhealthy for me to watch this kind of stuff happening. Man, what a gritty performance by Janai Broom. Let's just start. Props to Tennessee. Very good defensive team that made Auburn the most efficient team in history of basketball so far look very pedestrian, scoring 22 points in the first half, and then they knotted up at 31 in the second half each team. But give props to Auburn's defense for limiting Tennessee to 20 points in the first half and only 31 in the second half. Golly, man, this was an absolute gritty performance. Janai Broom, 16 points, leading all scorers, 7 of 19 shooting, played 33 minutes on a clearly still injured ankle, busted wheel out there, giving it all he had. Absolutely gritty game from Janai Broom out there. Huge minutes and huge contributions from Chaney Johnson tonight. Just second chance opportunities and boards that he got out there. Tough finishes in the lane. Timely defensive plays. Chaney Johnson played an amazing game in his 25 minutes that he had out there tonight. Miles Kelly struggled for the vast majority of this game. Only hit 2 shots. One of those was a 3 from the top of the key. The other one was the 3 that eventually gave Auburn the lead. Absolutely clutch shooting from Miles Kelly. An amazing effort from that young man out there tonight. Defensively played really well, even though he was struggling from the offense, but he was able to knock down shots when it mattered. Chad Baker-Mazara, clutch free throw shooting. Absolutely amazing ability of him to play on the defensive end for the vast majority of this game. Had some very key rebounds in this game. He had 5. Hold on. I didn't even give Janai Broom all his props. 16 points, 13 rebounds, a double-double on a busted wheel, bro. Crazy stuff from Janai Broom out there. And then again, Tahad Pettiford had some really good drive. Like, he didn't have a great game, but he had some really good drives. The little floater that he hit there in the second half off of the right hand was a really good. In a game where you only score 53 points, every bucket matters, and that's a big bucket for him. Him getting to the line, they're into the lane and being able to do some things. A good job by him. I don't know why Dylan Cardwell only played 18 minutes in this game, but I feel like he played well. I mean, he only had 2 fouls. I don't know what the deal is. Hopefully somebody can find out what's going on with Dylan right now, because there's no reason he shouldn't have been in there at the end of that game. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening right now with Denver Jones on the offensive end. Defensively, he still played really well, but offensively, he just hasn't had it. 0 of 8 tonight. He made his 2 free throws, which is good, but had 4 turnovers and only 2 assists. But listen, I know people are going to be disappointed in the way that Auburn played in this game. But again, I think people need to remember Tennessee is one of the best defensive teams in the country, and Auburn still won the game despite shooting 31% from the field. 31% from the field, and you still won the basketball game. 15% from 3, and you still won the basketball game. 74% from the free throw line, and you still won the basketball game. At the end of the day, winning is what matters, not how easily you beat teams. There's a bunch of teams that are in the top 25 in that played today in the SEC and didn't walk away with a victory. Auburn got the job done. Hats off to them. But now, let me again, I didn't want to lead with this. I didn't want to lead with this because I want to give props to Auburn, and I want to give props to a very gritty game from Tennessee, very tough defensive battle. but I gotta talk about it. The officiating in this game was so tough to watch that I'm not actually sure they were trying to call a good game. The officiating was so terrible in this game. I don't know how if you're a fan of basketball, forget if you're a fan of Auburn. If you're a Tennessee fan, you probably hate the way this game was officiated. I don't know that Tennessee fans should walk away from this game saying they feel like they got cheated out of this game by the refs, but they shouldn't like the way this game was officiated. This game was the reffing in this game was so unbearable at times where it's like how are y'all not calling that? And how is that a foul? It was so bad, man. And listen, I Zakai Ziegler I think is a really tough guard and does a lot of good things. That man, he flops and runs into people so much to not like he should have probably 2 or 3 offensive fouls a game. He should probably foul out of every game he plays. Like if we keeping it a buck, Zakai Ziegler should probably foul out of every game that he laces them up and goes out there on the court. It's a tough defensive minded guy, but he's grabbing and holding a lot, and then he's flopping a lot on the other end, bro. It's infuriating to watch. Um, But again, he did. But see, this is again. Sometimes you gotta listen to what I say. You got to turn him into the scorer. He was the high point man for Tennessee tonight with 14. You have to turn him into a scorer because if you let him be a facilitator when he gets down there in the lane, he starts getting other guys going, and then he can still score himself. You did exactly what you needed to do for him. You made him the guy who had to be the one to make the shots, and he missed the last shot there at the end to be able to give them the win. You have to make Zakai Ziegler the hero offensively for them by making him a scorer first. Because when he gets into the lane, he's not thinking score first. He's thinking draw fouls. He's thinking dish off and get to. So make him a scorer, make him earn it. That's what Auburn did tonight. Great defensive strategy on him. They did a really good job for the most part on Chaz Lanier, making it difficult for him to get catches and get clean looks. So this was a great defensive game for both sides, but an absolutely horrible game to watch from anybody who wanted to see basketball being played and not a wrestling match for 40 minutes. Anyway, that's enough of me monologuing on this. I want to get reactions from you guys because I want to hear what you have to say. Make sure you are hitting the like button. Share this video with somebody out there. Tag a Tennessee fan and tell them to come in here and plead their case as to why I'm crazy. And make sure that, we get some more people in here in this reaction. I'll start it off, as always, with Super Chat here from Heavy, who says, refs gave me insert terminal disease here tonight. It was definitely a game where, not for the faint of heart, if you're a fan of either of these teams, it's tough to watch basketball being played like this. Yeah, it was just, but this is how it is every time Auburn plays Tennessee. It's good to see Auburn come out on the winning side of one of these, though, where it was just this back and forth slugfest of a game and Auburn actually wins. So good to see them come out on the right side of with this one of these for once. Fuller jumps in and says 11-1 in quad one games. Let's effing go. You're darn right about that. Listen, man. Again, maybe it's my jaded nature as an Auburn fan, but it felt to me, and Jay Billis says he didn't have a rooting interest in this game when he was talking about Rick Barnes throwing his water bottle down on the ground and all that kind of stuff. It felt like to me the commentators were wanting Tennessee to win this game. Like a lot of the montages were Tennessee based. It just felt like they wanted Tennessee to win this game, and it didn't work out that way. It felt like that to me. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel. And I am frustrated by that because that's hard for me to watch it feel like y'all are rooting for the other team. Chat here from Sonina. I missed this earlier. I apologize, but them bitches tried to cheat us out the game. They definitely did. didn't work though. Super chat here from Ben Bloodworth, who says Broom had 6 more rebounds and 3 more blocks with a bum ankle and against a better opponent than Flag Player of the Year. I don't listen. If you're still arguing for anybody else besides Janai Broom for the Player of the Year after watching that performance against the number 6 team in the country with a bum ankle, and this man had 16, 13, and hold on, let me make sure I get his block shots correct. 4 blocks off the bench. Come on, man. Give him the man. To come in here and react, I got my guy C-Dub, man. He's gonna get in here and give his opinion. Caesar, what's up, man? How you feeling?
Give Janai Broom Player of the Year and stop talking about this.
Yeah.
Let's just stop. I don't even know what are we talking about. What are we talking about? That was. And listen, I felt like Auburn had a shot at winning this game without Janai. I was wrong. They needed Janai. They needed him bum, ankle, and all.
Yeah.
And he did what he normally does.
Yeah.
Doubled a walking double-double. He don't need two healthy ankles to have a double-double. He's not even a walking, he's a hobbling double-double. Like he was amazing tonight.
Yeah.
Obviously some of his shots under the goal he couldn't really make because again, not a lot of lift that he can get, making his shot blockable. But again, this guy was balling and he lifted this team. This is the most important win of the season for this team because this team found a new way to win. You know, we talk about on the football side how Auburn has found ways to lose.
Right.
This team has found a new way to win.
Yeah.
And it was gritty. They found an ugly way to win. Auburn has not won ugly for real at all this season. This was an ugly win for Auburn, and credit to Tennessee because, again, this is what Tennessee does to a lot of teams.
Right.
They take them out of their element, and I was concerned early on in this game, looking at how Auburn was scoring, I realized we're playing Tennessee's game. If you were Tennessee, this is exactly the type of game you wanted. You didn't want to be chasing Auburn running their offense, putting up 40 points at the half. You didn't want that type of style of game. You wanted to cut that in half, force them to play your style, and that's what Tennessee did. I knew it was going to be a struggle. But for them to find a way to win at the end says a lot about this team. I feel good about a team like this going into the tournament because you know how to win multiple ways.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that is, I think this team has a lot of mettle this year. Like they have just this intestinal fortitude that allows them to overcome adversity. And they did a really good job of, listen, I hate saying that you beat the refs too, but golly, you beat the refs in this one too. Because I just don't feel like the refs were doing Auburn any favors. Like I do this during my watch parties. I start trying to tally the calls that I feel like were obviously missed calls.
I thought about you. And what did you come up with, sir?
10-1 in favor of Tennessee in obviously missed calls. There were some calls where it's like, okay, I felt like, okay, that was a foul by Auburn, but it wasn't like egregious and it wasn't at key moments, so I didn't put it down. I could probably give 2 or 3 more to Auburn, but there were 10 really bad calls that went in Tennessee's favor. Like the drive where Chad Baker-Mazar got hurt and had to go out of the game.
Yeah.
Obvious foul. He got fouled like 3 times on that. No call.
They called a foul on him on the inbound, and the guy was clearly pushing off.
I was like, how is that on Chad? Chad didn't grab him. He didn't do anything. I was like, yo, how? That was crazy. Miles Kelly got fouled on his way to the lane one time, and they called it out of bounds on Miles. The Denver Jones block where the ball bounced off of Denver when he hit the ground, he got fouled on that multiple times before he got to the lane. I'm just like, yo, what are we doing? Like, Janai got fouled on back-to-back trips on the pump fake, and he got the shot block. I'm like, how is a dude landing on his shoulder and you don't call a foul? Like, I don't understand that. Like, I'm clueless as to how you at least have to be watching the ball, right?
Right.
The ball is in his hands. He pump fakes. The guy gets up in the air and they land on his shoulder and he goes up through the contact and you don't get the foul call on that. So I'm just like, bro, come on, man. Now, again, there were some obvious ones. The one where Ziegler goes to the lane and he gets grabbed and he goes and he makes the layup anyway. It's an obvious foul on Janai or whoever grabbed him on that.
I think it was Janai. I think it was Cheney.
But then you go to the other end of the court, the same thing happened to Cheney. So I was like, oh, those two negate each other. I'm not even putting that down.
Right.
The one where they were trying to say Janai grabbed the dude before he traveled. I'm like, that's if you gonna call that, you got to call a bunch of other stuff in this game.
Billis went hard on that one.
Yeah, I'm like, man, come on, bro. And Nina said it. I said it during the thing. Listen, he went to Duke. Maybe he's out here trying to lobby for Auburn to lose because he wants Duke to be the #1 team. I don't know what it was, bro. But Jay Billis was like, he was incensed that that's a foul. How do you not call that when stuff would happen for Tennessee?
In no world is that not a foul.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Never been to Neville Arena, apparently, huh, Jay Billis? Welcome.
But then when something would happen the other direction, he's like, oh, yeah, that looks like a foul call right there. Like you were like, you were beside yourself that Tennessee didn't get the whistle. But when Auburn doesn't get the whistle, you were like, I mean, he probably could have called a foul call. I'm like, hey, man. Yeah. Wherever that bias is right there, like hit the eject button on that real quick for me, my boy. And because we don't need that here.
And we got to be honest, we got to be real. Like, you must not have been paying attention to the first half because they let stuff go in the first half. Now they tighten up in the second half.
That's the one thing that he did say that I agreed with. He's like, if it's not a foul in the first half, it shouldn't be a foul in the second half, which I agree. Like you set the borders and you said these are the rules of engagement for this situation, and then you change them coming out of the half. You can't do that. Call the game the way the game should be called.
Right.
And making adjustments on stuff because it's like, oh, we see this stuff now. We didn't see it before. Like there was one situation.
And there should have been a tech. That should have been a tech on Rich.
With him slamming the water bottle.
That should have been a tech.
But all right, cool. It's whatever. But like, so there was one situation where Chaz Lanier is trying to get away from Chad Baker-Mazar. He literally just pushes him with both hands and Chad goes flying. Now he didn't get the ball after that, but I'm just like, yo, it's not allowed. That's not like a basketball play, bro. Like, what are we doing right now? It looked like that play where Reggie Miller hit the 3 against the Bulls that time, and he was thinking it looked like that. Like he 2 hands shoved him into another guy, and I was like, come on, bro. Like, this is crazy, bro.
Yeah, it was the refs had a horrible showing, and there was several. Again, I was curious to see what the count was, but you got 10-1.
Yeah. And again, so I could be biased because I was seeing a lot more of the stuff I missed 9 of them. I could tell you that I didn't miss 9 because I let some stuff for Tennessee go where I was like, that's a foul, but I'm not mad about it. But yeah, this stuff is crazy. Let's get back over here into the chat because I see super chats and stuff piling in, and I'm not doing a good job of getting to them. Ben Bloodworth says, who do we think? What do we think the deal is with Pettiford coming back in so late? It worked out, but it felt weird. Not sure. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's time to have a conversation about Pettiford in the rotation and when he's playing it towards the end of games.
I think Pettiford needs to close out every game.
I've had this conversation. Love Denver. Love Denver, but Pettiford coming in and getting buckets, like getting a bucket at a critical moment in the game to pull out, like come on. It's time. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time to play.
You need Denver in there for his defense, but like Pettiford and Miles Kelly are your bucket getters at the end of the game. You need a bucket. Those are the guys that you're going to count on to go get it for you right
100%.
now. I think to answer the question that you had, Ben, I think the foul trouble might have been something they were just trying to say, like, all right, if he's only got 2 fouls, we need to be able to let him go these last 2 minutes. And like instead of bringing him in, earlier in the half and then him getting another foul and then you have to like sit him again, just let him run the last 2 minutes and let him play freely and not have to worry about those last 2 fouls because he does do a bad job of staying out of foul trouble. So I think that has a lot to it. Now, the absence of Dylan Cardwell at the end of the game is a little more curious to me. As good as Janai Broome was,
I thought I was
getting position and getting boards, I thought it would have made more sense to bring Dylan in. Because
I thought I was going to see Dylan. Yeah. They was going to try to take advantage. They didn't even go to the screen and roll, the pick and roll,
which they should have. That was so. Let's just be clear: Tennessee's offensive staff, whoever was like, did a terrible job of making sure that Janai Broome had to move tonight.
Yeah.
and that's on them. And I'm not mad at it. Thank you for allowing him to play drop coverage the entire night
Beautiful
and
game,
not taking
man.
advantage of it.
Beautiful
So
game
Nina,
plan.
with the gifted War Report membership, we appreciate that so much. Ben Bloodworth with 5 gifted War Report memberships. Thank you so much for that. Super chat here from Heavy, who says, waiting for the blind ref emoji emote. I am working on that. I will try to have that for you, my boy. I am gonna get that for you. Big super chat here from our guy Jazzy Joe said,
Jazzy.
they got beat by Janai's ankle. Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's on Twitter, on X somewhere.
Yeah, there's a meme somewhere that you
I'm
just
pretty
lost
sure that's on X somewhere.
to long Janai Silver or something like that.
I like
Pirate,
that. I like that.
pirate broom.
I like that.
Super chat here from Sonina. Haven't heard any of the nonsense until Duke has been ranked number 2. Other conferences are tired of the SEC winning. They all come together to pull for Duke. War damn Eagle, we're still coming. Yeah, man.
Y'all in bad shape when y'all pulling for Duke.
Yeah. Yeah. But listen, man, Auburn got the dub tonight. Bottom line, point blank period. Auburn got the dub tonight.
3-0.
Yeah. 3-0.
3-0.
Well,
3-0 after South Carolina.
Yeah. I don't know that it counts as the whole 5-game stretch without Janai thing that we were talking about, but they 3-0 post Janai injury, I guess, is still in effect right now.
Yeah.
Because this stretch with a healthy Janai Broom, I wouldn't have been looking at it the same way. It's a tough stretch regardless, but I wouldn't have been looking at it the same way with a healthy Janai Broom. But next up for Auburn, let's just take a look. Let's peek down the road here for our Auburn Tigers. And the next game is going to be coming up against LSU at LSU, who just lost tonight to Alabama by 7. LSU's a tough team. SEC Network coming up on the 29th, so we'll make sure that we're tapped in again for that one. But overall, again, tough game for a team that was without the 100. It's crazy that I'm about to say this sentence, without Janai Broom healthy, Auburn wins a game against the number 6 team in the country, and he's still the leading scorer with a double-double. So, yeah, crazy. Sergeant J-Dog says the jungle was lit AF tonight. Great atmosphere. Brought my 6-year-old son. We loved it. So Sergeant J-Dog checking in from Neville Arena tonight, saying it was lit in there. Definitely was a good atmosphere.
Again, Auburn played Tennessee's game and beat them at it. Now, granted, you had the jungle with the huge assist with that, but you only had 4 points, fast break points. You played a half-court game tonight, shooting 31%.
Yeah.
You shot 15% beyond the arc. Miles Kelly, man, who had a very bad game up to that point.
Yeah.
Hit the most important shot. If you're going to make a 3, bruh, you picked a good time to hit that 3.
Yeah.
He was struggling. I mean, our wings were struggling.
For sure.
And I tweeted about it. It was 0 for 19 when combined. When you count Chad Baker-Mazara, Denver Jones, Miles Kelly, Pettiford, those 4 guys combined went 0 for 19 in the first half.
I mean, it didn't get much better in the second half. Miles hit 2 shots, but the rest of those guys, Tahad hit 3. So they only had 5 buckets in the entire game.
Yeah, Denver went to the line to get his, I think.
Yeah, he hit 2 free throws. That's it. Same thing for Chad. Chad's all his 7 points all came from the free throw line. Didn't make a single shot from the field.
So it seems to me is the game plan was to really and again credit Tennessee. It's not like those guys had the easiest of looks either.
Yeah.
At times. So again, a lot of it was those guys trying to make a shot with the clock winding down. So credit to Tennessee on some of those attempts. But yeah, that again, ugly win, and you found a way.
Found a way to win. But that's what championship caliber teams do, is they find ways to win these kinds of games. A couple more here. Vonnegail says Ziegler and Sears are the same guy. Let me drive to the goal and fall down. They'll blow the whistle. They're not the same guy in the way that they drive, they absolutely are. Like they're seeking contact, but Ziegler is more of a pass first guard. Mark Sears is a
Yeah.
score first guard, and excuse me, Sears is a score first guard, and he's going to put up way more threes than Ziegler. Like, but when they're driving, they absolutely are to drive into contact, try to get to the free throw line types, and it is so annoying to watch them play ball because I'm like, most of those are offensive fouls. Like I said this during our watch party, the last layup that Ziegler missed is because he was trying to jump back into Janai to get contact. If he had he had him beat. If he just goes and finishes the lay, then he probably finishes that shot. But because he jumped back into Janai, he left it short because he pulled himself away from the rim doing that. So, but
Right.
that's something that those guys do a lot, the undersized guards. But I think what I hate about it is guys like Tahad Pettiford don't get those whistles. And they're going in there. Like Tahad's not going in there seeking contact. He's going in there to score a
Right.
bucket.
Right.
And when he gets in there, he's getting hit, but they're not calling fouls. So I'm just like, does he need to start jumping into guys when he gets into the lane? But
Well,
when we had
KD
KD
started doing
Johnson,
that, and they caught on and was like, "Nope, we're not giving you that.
it's
We're
just
not giving you
it's
that."
something about wearing an Auburn jersey when you drive to the basket that people are like, I don't know if that's an actual foul. So we'll hold our whistles here. Alphaholic says, I'm going to have a nightmare about running from zebras tonight. That is funny and very clever. I like it. Like it a lot. Super chat here from Ben who says, shout out to Chaney Johnson.
Chaney Johnson
Absolutely.
had a game.
A gritty game from Chaney Johnson. Again,
Had a game.
10 points. He was the second leading scorer for Auburn, 5 of 8. Another efficient night. Now, he missed the 2 3-pointers that he took, but 4 boards for him. Only had 2 personal
Listen,
fouls in a game
he
that
would
is
have
this
had more.
physical.
He got in foul trouble early in the game, and so we didn't see a lot of him. He could have
Yeah.
done more in this game, but again, credit to him coming out and having a huge second half.
Yeah. He had 1 block shot and 1 steal in the game as well. My guy isn't in here that normally asks for the plus minus, but I'll run this down before we get out of here. Janai Broome, excuse me, the guy with the highest plus minus. Are you looking at it? Because I want you to guess who you think has the highest plus minus for Auburn tonight. I'll start from the bottom with the negative plus minuses, and I'll give you a minute to think about that. Don't cheat though, and don't go look if y'all looking in it. Guess who you think had the highest plus minus. But the worst plus minus on the team tonight was Denver Jones with -6. Next up, you will have -4 from Jaheim Hudson, which, by the way, I think Jaheim Hudson had some good minutes in this game. That's not going to show in the plus minus.
Listen. The way he defended did he get on? He was on Ziegler. I think I'll call him a
switched out. Yes,
that was a clinic.
Hey,
those coaches need to show how he defended that guy to all of the bigs and say, listen, that's how you don't, especially with Ziegler, since he's a pass first guy. He's not shooting. He's trying to get you up in the air. Shout out to Hudson. That was beautiful.
That was an amazing sequence right there. He played some very key minutes. Next up on the negative plus minus, Miles Kelly with a -3. Then we have Chad Baker-Mazar with -2 and Dylan Cardwell with -1. Everybody else was either even or plus, which means there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that were in the positive. Ja'Kai Howard with a even plus minus. He didn't play very many minutes, so that's not surprising. Chaney Johnson +4. I saw a couple of people saying Chaney, they thought he had the best plus minus. He was +4 on the night. Only Chris Moore with a +5 on the night.
I probably would guess more.
Chris Moore with a +5 on the night. Only 2 players left. Huh?
I know last time we saw him, he was on the floor. Like, was he okay? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know what the report is on Chris Moore.
Okay.
Janai Broome +3. The highest plus minus for the night, Tahad Pettiford, +14.
Wow.
+14 for Tahad Pettiford on the night. He was a difference maker when he was on the floor. Point blank period. Now, he did have the one bad turnover where he got ripped in the open floor by Ziegler, but +14 when he was on the floor tonight.
I
So
expected that actually. Like, and again, this is one of the reasons why when we talked about who you wanted starting, I'm playing Pettiford a lot, but I
yeah,
but I want Denver Jones out there. I expected him to be a lot more secure with the ball because again, Pettiford's just going to play his game, and against a veteran like Ziegler, I expected that to happen at one point in the game. Didn't happen a lot, but it did happen.
yeah, yeah, man. Again, it's one of those things where after you're frustrated, but you're less frustrated because it's another one in the plus column for the wins here. And you're way more frustrated at the outcome of this game if you lose it because of how awful the shooting was, how awful the officiating was, and you don't have the healthy version of your best player out there. So you feel like you've got every this game was every you had every reason in the world to be in this chat and on social media complaining about all of the reasons why Auburn lost and they didn't lose. Because you had every excuse lined up. Man, the refs was cheating. Man, Tennessee, playing blah blah blah, players playing dirty. They knocked guys out the game, blah blah blah. Janai Broome was hurt, man. I mean, if Janai had been healthy, you had all the excuses lined up and ready to go. And Auburn was like, you won't need those. We're just gonna get the dub. And let's just throw all of that out the door.
4 blocks, man, by by
And
Broome.
all of them
That's
were clean though. It wasn't even like one of those things where it's
insane,
like,
man.
man, that might have been should have been a foul call. Like it was just really great timing and
4
excellent
blocks.
ability to just be where he needed to be. The 13 boards, as impressive as the 4 blocks are, the 13 boards, because rebounding, there are guys with 2 healthy ankles out there on Auburn's team that wouldn't have gotten 13 boards tonight. Like
Right.
he was just where he needed to be, boxing out, just being physical, right? And this is what I mean when I talk about like rebounding isn't really about athleticism. It's about understanding where the ball's about to go and who wants it more a lot of time when the ball is in the air.
Right.
Janai just wanted it more than I think some other, which is another reason why he frustrates me sometimes when he doesn't dominate the boards, because it's like clearly it's about positioning for you. It's not about effort, right? Like because you didn't even have the physicality to give the effort. You were just in position tonight. And so I don't know what you need to do to be that guy every night, but Janai Broome, please. 13 boards on a bum ankle is crazy, my boy. And he would have had a 14th on the ball that caromed off the rim, and he couldn't get to it as it went out of bounds because he couldn't run it down.
Let me ask you this. How much do we see of him against LSU, you think?
I mean, if the ankle is going to be like that, LSU is not as physical a team in the paint. I need to go look at LSU and kind of how they're getting their buckets. If they don't need an interior presence like that, then I think that they're going to probably limit his minutes a lot more because he's going to be feeling this after tonight's game for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be smart to put him on a little bit more of a rest. I'm glad they didn't start him tonight,
Right.
but they played him starter minutes, so it didn't really matter ultimately. But yeah, super chat here by Blinn, who says, shout out to Dylan's 2 made free throws,
They were major.
which is the point deficit in the game. So minus
Dylan
Dylan
does that,
Cardwell's 2 free throws, Auburn might be in overtime, not win this game tonight.
But Dylan does that though. Dylan, because just before that, he went to the line and missed both of them.
Right.
So he'll come back and hit 2 in a row. Glad he did that.
Yeah.
At least 2. So
yeah. Listen, and you needed both of them. So
yes, sir.
All right. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? Because I know once Mike gets in tomorrow, we're going to react to this game a little bit more tomorrow. So, but any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Listen, if you obviously people have been showing a lot of love to Auburn this year, especially how they looked in non-conference play. Early into SEC play, you have some of the best teams in the country with 2 losses already, and Auburn is still undefeated in conference play. They lead the nation in quad 1 wins. This team not only has been talked about as a championship contender, they're showing you that they are a championship. There's no pretending in this team. They're beating some of the best teams in the country, and I think on a neutral site that Duke game would go differently.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this team. That they stay healthy. Janai his ankle continues to improve. We're looking at what could be a very special season for Auburn.
For sure. Hopefully they'll find a way to get him some rest here in the next couple of games. You got LSU, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. None of those are gimmies. And then you got to go and you got to play Florida, right? So they need to find him some rest somewhere in these next three before Florida comes to town, because that's going to be another game where he's going to be needed on the interior as far as how Florida rebounds. So they need to figure that out in these next three. But all right, we're going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys jumping in with us. Again, the weekend tailgate tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this game, talk about some stuff from Junior Day. We'll be talking, whatever other things we can about Auburn sports. But we're out of here. Like the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel. Share the content with somebody, and we'll holler at y'all the next time. Until then, War Eagle.